All right. So this has kind of been on my mind for the last few days. Um, and it's everything in life is kind of habitual or ritual dependent, whether we think it is or not. Um, and I think we all know that, but there's just certain things that are going to move us more than other things. It takes a lot of energy to create habit change, especially um, because a lot of the good things in life are hard, and a lot of like stuff that just kind of keeps us stuck is pretty easy and doesn't require a whole lot of energy. So think of your savings account or health or any of that stuff. Like it takes a long time to build up um, a good 401k or savings account, and it can crash pretty quickly, and our body can do the same thing. It takes a long time to build a strong and healthy body, and unfortunately some bad stuff can come and it can be taken away quickly. So the energy to build takes a lot of time, where the energy to take away doesn't require so much. But actually had a really good meeting earlier, and it was basically that there's 6-step process for making lasting change, and these processes are based on atomic habits and tiny habits. And I mean, a habit is an unconscious, it produces a behavior, but it's really an unconscious like thing that's just triggered in us to do. And we're kind of pulled along by our habits. You show me a man's habits and you will see like his outcomes, right? Basically. So I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to share it with everybody, so that they could, benefit from it. So the first part is step one is clarify what you're trying to do. Basically, it can't just be about like the goal can't just be I'm going to eat well, and this is a goal, not an aspiration. It's like I want to lose weight. That's a goal, but what's the aspiration? Why do you want to lose weight? Or why do you want to lift more weights? Or why do you want to be quote unquote healthy? When you identify the why, it's going to cause an emotional attachment to the outcome, which is good. We need to like be emotionally moved. So I want to lose weight and lift more so that I can play with my grandkids longer. I want to lift more so I can compete in a powerlifting meet. Like when you identify, and these, like, you could get very specific with that, and that's good. You should write these out. But the more you tie an actual story to it, the better. We're always running stories in our minds about why we can't do X or why we can't do this, but we never really do stories that are like why I can do this or what this is for. This is kind of how our brain works. Unfortunately, we're kind of wired towards the negative. So you have to actively give yourself aspirations so that you can chase those aspirations. Like it's a very good thing. So step two is then brainstorm. Think of all the behaviors and the underlying thoughts that will take to achieve the aspiration. So if you think that you are incapable of losing 30 pounds, guess what's going to happen? If you think that you are incapable of, um, you know, changing jobs, or if you think that this is bound and determined to happen, guess what you're going to get? So our behaviors are important, but we also have to change our thinking patterns. So basically, what you want to do is you want to write the aspiration you want to achieve on a piece of paper and think of all the little things that you could do to help you get to that goal. I encourage you to spend 5 minutes doing this at some point in time because it's worth it. This is the thing, you don't have to do all of those things at once, but you have to think about how do I just get going in the direction I want to go. So you have to start by saying, I am someone that can change my diet, and I will start eating vegetables at dinner every night. So you have to believe that you can do something. Otherwise, guess what's going to happen? Then you focus map. So basically, if you draw a vertical and a horizontal axis, and the top right corner is, can I do this? And am I willing to do this? And is it going to move things in the right direction? Um, is it going to have an impact? Am I willing to do it right now? So if you want to lose weight, and one of the things you brainstorm is I'm going to run 5 miles, 3 times a week. Well, if you haven't been running at all, that's not a realistic thing to try to focus on. So it's more like I'm going to take a walk after dinner every night. Or like you start with literally things that don't seem like that big of a deal and let those turn into behaviors that then you build on. It's like anything else. You have to start small and let momentum be created. It's hard because we often don't think the small things add up, but we do know that they do, because a lot of little negative things add up. So if you are not willing to do the behavior and if it won't have an impact, then it's not meaningful and it will just drain you. So make predictions about the cost. So, how much is this going to cost me in time, money, physical effort, mental effort, and routine? So, the thing you're trying to go towards always needs to be worth it, basically. Um, and that's good. Like most of the people's goals, most of the things we want to try to achieve are worth it. Like longer life, more time spent with our family, more opportunity, a better job, all those things. Like they're good things, and we we want to pursue them, but we often start with big things that require a lot of energy cost or time or money cost, and it's not always advantageous to try to do those big things. You might just have to take it literally one step at a time and do little things, and then build yourself to where you want to be. Um, and it just start small and easy. Both of those books are called Tiny or Atomic, meaning start with little habits, and then figure out how to build upon those over time. Then what you want to do is called finding your prompts or your habit stacking. Basically, you tie something that you're already doing with something you want to do. So let's say, you want to eat more vegetables at dinner. Well, you need to like create a prompt to add like a serving of vegetables whenever you're cooking, or like get honestly, like if you want to add vegetables to your meals, like your first prompt is, I'm going to buy 5 things of frozen vegetables at the grocery store. Like you have to start even there, and then that would probably be the first piece that you would tackle, is just having them in your freezer, and then you start to cook them. And this really comes down to being a scientist and experimenting. We all are experimenting with our own um, minds and bodies every day. It's whether or not we're in control of those things that matter. So you just have to be creative and just find little things that are going to get you on the right path. And then you have to celebrate. You have to be proud of the little steps you're taking, and even the desire to change for the quote unquote better is a good thing. We are constantly being bombarded with external messages that are trying to change us, and they pretty much do change us. Like, look at your urge to buy any consumer good that you have in the last year. Like, that's because somebody externally has probably provoked that, and it's not a bad thing, but we don't often like take the time to reward ourselves for the things we do to move in the right direction. So when you celebrate, you release a lot of like good reward chemicals, and things actually move faster than if you don't celebrate them. So a lot of people they'll create good habits, but then they won't reward themselves for creating those good habits, and it takes longer than it needs to because they're not actually rewarding themselves for the change. At the end of the day, just keep taking action and trying. um, a big message in the presentation I was sat in on was like, we think it needs to be perfect, or we say this language of like, I fell off the wagon, let's get back on. And like, don't even, that's something I'm going to work on, is just don't even think about it being falling off the wagon. You're just trying, and you're going to keep working. And at the end of the day, like, you have to create a conscious awareness of what you want, and you keep going from there. I remember when I was like 14, I knew I had to run a 3-mile run for soccer. And I wanted to start like a year before I was going to have to train for it, because I knew I thought I wasn't a good runner. And it scared me. It took me like 6 months to just like get over the thinking to just start running. Um, but if I wouldn't have been maybe like just prompting myself, I would have been 6 months behind when it finally would have happened. So just don't stop. Keep working on the things you find meaningful, and let me know if you need anything help with anything.